Can you hear me okay without the microphone? I don't like microphones. My name is Nancy Schwendeman. I'm with Maryland's Coast, Worcester County Tourism and Economic Development. Thank you for coming to this session today. We have a wonderful group of panelists with us. And now I guess I better read my speech here. And I didn't pre-read this ahead of time, so. Good afternoon. Welcome to the OC Spring Expo 2024 Solutions Showcase. I already introduced myself, Nancy Schwendeman, Maryland's Coast. I'm here on behalf of Maryland Tourism Coalition and our Education Committee. MTC is the trade association for all sectors of the Maryland tourism industry. We connect, educate, and advocate on behalf of our members to help elevate their business across the state. We will be hosting Discover the Power of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. It's a 4-part virtual training that begins March 26th. Please stop by the booth and learn more and be able to register if you'd like. The booth is located downstairs in the dockside area, and it's booth 1122. Double 122, can't forget that. You are currently attending the Taste, Tourism, Leverage, Culinary, and Craft Beverage Experience to Drive Business session.
No, we're not.
Oh, sorry.
Evolution of hospitality.
I gotta go to Monday. We're on Monday. I'm still here from yesterday. Sorry about that.
I mean, we could try that.
Let's wing it.
You guys would really be interesting in going to do that section. This is Evolution of Hospitality, where we've been and where we're headed. And we have 3 wonderful panelists today. We have Roy Beaumont. He is currently the Regional Senior Director, 21 managed by Marriott Hotels in the Eastern Region. He is responsible for this portfolio's performance, $170 million plus annual dollars, and talent development, 700 plus associates. Previously, Roy was the Vice President of Lodging Operations for nearly 4,000 hotels in Marriott Select brands. He supported the leadership teams of the Managed by Marriott and franchise operations that collectively generated $10 billion plus in revenue annually by driving compliance and execution of Marriott's critical brand and enterprise properties across the portfolios of hotels, and was part of the Starwood merger integration team before this current role. Roy joined Marriott in 1997 as the manager of leisure marketing programs for Marriott's resorts and destination hotels before progressing through several roles in global brand management and the American Lodging to drive brand, operational, marketing, and communication strategies for Marriott Select brands. Prior to joining Marriott International, Roy worked in various capacities in the tourism industry, including operational roles of full luxury hotels in Illinois, Switzerland, and Germany. So a big welcome for Roy. Thank you. We also have with us Ben Seidel, President and CEO, founder and Chief Executive Real Estate Group in last year's 15th ranked hotel operating company in the United States. With properties located in 19 states, RHG has expanded from a start-up company to one of the most prominent hotel operation in only 9 years. RHG's leadership is presented on the Board of Directors and American Hotel and Lodging Association, New York City and Company, Marriott and Hilton Franchise Advisory Councils, and several state lodging associations.
That's enough.
That's a lot right there, right? So welcome, thank you. And last but not least, we have Meg Gardner, Director of Delaware Restaurant Foundation. Megan joined the leadership staff of the Delaware Restaurant Foundation in 2023 after having served on the Delaware Restaurant Association and Foundation Board of Directors for many years and coaching, mentoring, ProStart program high school students in statewide and national competitions. A native Delawarean, Megan's first foray into the hospitality industry was at the famed charcoal pit in Pike Creek. She later became as a backwaiter and ascended into the owner-partner at another iconic Delaware restaurant, the Blue Moon in Rehoboth Beach, where she spent 18 years curating fine dining, entertainment, and catered event experiences with her business partners and husband, Chef Lion Gardner. So welcome. And now I will also introduce Melanie Pursel, Director, Worcester County Tourism, and she's going to be our mediator for today.
All right, thank you guys. Welcome to this amazing panel, as Nancy said. And it's hard to sum up such impressive careers in just a few minutes. So I'm sure that you guys can get to know a little bit more about our guests either online or afterwards. We can talk. And I did want to say briefly that I know Mr. Seidel here who does have an important call at noon. So we're going to try to get through this. And if he does scurry out, don't it's business, as we all know, right? So again, my name is Melanie Pursel. I'm the Director of Tourism and Economic Development for Worcester County here on Maryland's coast, and absolutely thrilled to be here. And Meg, I have to tell you, I am so jealous of the culinary coast. I'm getting served up your ads now with Southern Delaware Tourism and being able to trademark that. And it's funny because we recently went through, actually it's almost 3 years now, the rebranding of Worcester County to Maryland's coast. And our tagline is naturally cool, but we get to play on that with a lot of naturally green, naturally wild, and so I know how important it is to have that brand. And so when I saw that and that it was trademarked, I was like, well, that was smart. So, but anyway, so I'm just going to get right into it, and we'll go ahead and talk just briefly about Ocean City. I mean, we know that this is known as the Women's Resort. We're coming on 150 years of hospitality, and as many of you may have heard through the years, that initially Ocean City was, the women were trying to make a living. The men were out fishing. They weren't here. And so I think the fact that we have a lot of women now in these leadership roles in hospitality is very apropos. So it's very exciting. But I'll go ahead and start with Roy. Maryland's fortunate to have the Marriott headquartered here. And as the largest hotel company, walk us through Marriott 50 years ago. We're talking about that journey through hospitality, the evolution over the past 50 years. So why don't you just say, what are some things that were important then, as you kind of grew through the years, and then what's most important now? So.
Sure, and again, happy 150th birthday,
Yay.
hospitality, and 50th for I believe the convention, right?
Yep,
That's fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here, thank you. So Marriott's going to turn 97 in May. But if I was looking 50 years ago, we probably had a few dozen hotels and one brand, Marriott. And I actually have an associate who's been with us for 50 years. So I asked him, I said, hey, what's remained the same? And he said, well, 50 years ago, Mr. Marriott Sr. visited my hotel. Now it's his grandson, David. And they look for the same thing. But, I think there's probably three core themes about our industry and everyone that touches it here. One is we all have a spirit to serve. It's not a transactional business, it's a relational business. And I walked through downstairs and saw that quite a bit. But at the end of the day, people working in this industry 50 years ago or today, it's about how do you serve that guest, make their day, and serve your teammate. And you see that through and through. The second thing is, as it was then, is now, and Ben's a great example of that, and Meg, it's an industry of opportunity. You don't need any type of education or certificates or an MBA to be successful in this space. I get the greatest pleasure seeing some of our housekeepers become leaders of multi-million-dollar hotels. If they have the work ethic and they want to learn, you can go as far as you want in this industry. It's wonderful to see, and that exists today as it did 50 years ago. And then the third piece is this industry, with a lot of our vendors, partners, franchisees, owners, it's very innovative, and we stay curious all the time. And we had one brand 50 years ago. Today we have 34. Ben might say this one too many, but we're curious about knowing, hey, guests want this now, or they want that, or they want to eat this. And a vendor of ours said, hey, you could do iron waffles in the morning, and kids love it. And let's try that. Of course, that works great on the weekends. And we've had some great operators that work for Marriott that said, hey, I could do that myself and become a franchisee. And you have them leading great franchise companies, and we learn from them. So I think those kind of three core things exist as well today as it did when we were just starting as a company, and I'm very excited to see where we go in the future.
And for anybody that was actually at our keynote this morning, when you talk about service, you know, he really delineated between customer service and customer care. And I think we are in that customer care business, you know. He said you service things, but you care for people. And that's what we do. And being able to kind of transcend so many, you know, decades with the industry and be so successful, it's exciting. So I'm actually going to turn over to Ben. You actually started as a front desk clerk, waited tables, and worked banquets while in college. However, your degrees in education, which quickly became a bit obsolete when the hotel GM offered you triple the salary of your teaching position. You quickly learned there is no I in team, and that still resonates today. So what are your thoughts on how to lead a team in today's environment? And I think too, as you were saying, you know, having a career in this industry and how successful you can be. I mean, you are the picture, you know, poster child for that. So tell us about it.
Some would argue with that. Does this work or no?
Hey, President.
Can you hear me? How's that? Does that work?
Yes, there you go.
So I'm not saying anything, we're all in the service business, so I think the biggest change was when those of you with gray hair like I have were entering the business. Your boss was a tyrant and he managed through threats and insecurity. Those days have long been over, but I think that it's even more important today than ever to realize that all people want is to be paid attention to, and that means something different to everybody. So I think leadership is highly individualized. You know, we use tools like predictive index. Just this morning, interviewing a candidate and knowing a little bit about their psyche behind them, and then when you read them their report, the first question is, how did you get all this, and how accurate that is. But those things I think are becoming more and more key, so that not only you know what you're hiring, but you know better how to manage them. So I think the biggest evolution in hospitality is come from the internet and all the things that we'll talk about kind of later that's changed everything about what we do, from no vacancy signs, they're out the window for good reason, as we want to capture data and know a little bit more, not only about our client, but any potential client. So I think those are the biggest change.
And really, you know, this industry is such a great forum to teach people to lead. I think you instinctively have those qualities, but the amount of attention and training and on-the-job training, and just, you know, even here in Ocean City, we talk about such a transient workforce. You know, as a leader, you have to really be super dynamic, and you're dealing with different cultures, different countries, you know, and so I think it's such a, you know, even if you don't stay in the industry for your entire career, it's such a great, you know, starting point to build your, you know, your character and your professional, you know, portfolio.
Yeah, there's real profit and loss consequences with that. So you just mentioned here, but other parts of the country, we play very heavy in New York with 64 properties that we manage in that city, where organized labor always has a seat at every table, whether you're an NYC and company or whether you're with the Hotel Association of New York, that presence is there. And you know, if you're not taking care of your associates, somebody else will. So.
Yeah, and I think in this labor market, we're all seeing
Right,
that even more
we are.
so. But so we're going to go ahead and shift to restaurants, Meg. You've worked in restaurants, killing the neighborhood restaurant, as we heard, and you're a mentor to ProStart students, and now help lead the State Restaurant Association. What have you seen in the last 50 years in the workforce? Where were we and where are we going?
So I think,
Hi. So I think similar to what my colleagues have said, we are no longer in the brigade system of fear and, you know, Comey and sous chef and everyone is rigid. We are really having to get creative about our workforce. So we have to get creative about who works for us and how we upskill. And it is an industry of opportunity. So it's a lot about marketing our industry as a career of opportunity, not a stopping point, but a career with a lot of growth potential. You know, 1 in 10 people will work in a restaurant at some point in their lives. 1 in 10 people is now working in a restaurant, and half of all people will work in a restaurant at some point in their lives. That's a lot of people, and even if they don't stay in our industry, we have a lot to offer in terms of what you were saying, so customer service and care and skills, a lot of those soft skills, how to think about interacting with people, how to communicate with a team, how to problem solve. All of these are great skills that you can take to any industry.
And it seems like those things really haven't changed a whole lot when you talk about the personal part of it and the soft skills.
They haven't, and we always talk at the Delaware Restaurant Association about how our restaurants really are the cornerstones of our community. So they really do, it is about the guest experience, and whether that guest is coming for one day and will never be back, or whether they're that guest that comes once a week. We want all of our operators to understand the importance of that relationship, and it's not just transactional. It really is about care and about what we can offer in terms of not just feeding your stomach, but feeding your soul too.
And I think you hit the nail on the head that, especially in small communities, the eateries, the restaurants, the pubs, those are the places where people gather. And that's where relationships are, so outstanding. So, Roy, the next topic to explore in hospitality's evolution is loyalty and rewards programs. So you've certainly aced the rewards game. Why don't you tell us a little bit how that started and how that's evolved over the years?
Yeah, I mean, the credit goes to American Airlines in the early 80s where they put a loyalty program, and then the rest of the travel industry kind of followed suit. And initially it's like, oh, this is a lot of costs. Why are we doing this? It's going to hurt our margins. But what companies quickly realize is, hey, if you have a relationship with the customer and it's done right, and you keep that promise going, it's going to pay big time dividends. Today, and in 1997, Marriott was the first lodging company that put all their brands together on a program. Back then, Marriott Rewards, today, Bonvoy. And we just passed 200 million enrollees or members last week, actually. I wasn't the 200th. If you were, you got 1 million points. Anyone in this room get it? Just missed it. These customers are valuable, and they want to have a relationship with the Marriotts or the Hiltons or the airlines. Just for instance, a Bonvoy guest represents about half of all room nights in a hotel today. So you already got that loyalty of half your hotel's Bonvoy. They spend $10 more in rate, so they're more profitable. And then you take, and they book, 80% of the bookings are on Marriott.com, our cheapest demand engine, right? So you want that. You want the most profitable guests paying the most dollars at the lowest rate. And if you go up our stream of most valuable customers, we have an ambassador level, which is at the top. You grow those guests to that level, they are 60 times the value of a non-Bonvoy guest. So you need to make sure there's not just a point relationship. I said at the beginning, this is a relational business. We have to make sure we deliver at the front desk, we recognize them, and we give them just soft, courtesies or benefits along the way, along that journey. And the other really powerful thing about loyalty in our space is a lot of other people want to tie their products into it so we can monetize it. So I'm just curious, who here belongs to a hotel loyalty program? Who here has a hotel credit card with that said loyalty program? Or an airline, right? So easily half this room. If I asked if you have one for a grocery store or a flower company, there'd be no one showing their hands. It's because people want that connection. It's valuable intrinsically to a lot of our customers, and we know that there's value with that, and we want to make sure it stands stronger. So what we're doing in the future, we are redeveloping our entire loyalty program platform. Don't worry, Ben, not the redemption side of it. In the next couple of years at millions and millions of dollars, because we know this is the way we have to continue to lead and win with the most important guests in our industry.
Excellent. And something again that hasn't changed is, through COVID, we realized that our industry is face-to-face. When you talk about that experience, somebody knowing your name when you walk up to the front desk or what have you, there's many other industries that have kind of let that go by the wayside, and the fact that we still have that, I think, is so important, and we need to embrace that, and those loyalty programs do. So thank you. We talked a little bit about flipping on those vacancy signs to sell rooms, which really is kind of obsolete. Ben, with the Real Hospitality Group, has extensive knowledge in the revenue management game. Can you explore going from the switch of a vacancy sign to revenue management?
No, I don't think anybody can. But what Roy said is absolutely correct. As a portfolio, our end of year summaries were 53. We have 36 Marriotts, I think. 53% of our total guest counts in all of them combined were members of Marriott Bonvoy. That compares to 47% of our guests at Hilton. But interesting enough, Hyatt with much less distribution, 71% of our Hyatt guests. So I think that's a factor of size and robust of the program versus this distribution. So that has been the key game changer, as Roy said, is the frequent stay programs and what that delivers to our hotels. As an owner, you kind of want to think that right there and alone, because it's the cheapest form of revenue generation also, as a direct reservation, is been what's key. But the internet's really changed everything. I mean, we've gone from the days of, as a desk clerk, calling around to individual hotels to get a handle on what their occupancy was and what their rate was. The FTC now wants to have a little chat with you about that.
Yeah.
But it's all available on the OTAs. And now there's lawsuits that are coming up against, some of them against some of the brands for coordinating all of this rate, price fixing within a given market. In my mind, and I'm not a lawyer, that goes nowhere because of live internet scans through things like OTA Insight, now called Lighthouse. These are internet scans where I can pick any one of your hotels and I can see exactly over the last 30 days how much occupancy you had based on how you've changed your rate. And you can see people that are doing this with their rate, and you see people that are thinking about it and know what their market's going to be and keep it slow and steady, which I think is much more fair to our customer. You've got intermediaries like Cody right now, which most of the brands have signed with, that for an extra fee now you can pay to get your message in front of potential customers that are just online searching. I guess you would call that, and we lump that all under Meta, but it's really what the all the major brands and now our independents have kind of circled the wagons around Cody, that we can budget a particular spend to get that offer in front of you. Right up to if you're going up toward the X to go to somebody else's page, I can flash an ad to you. That's how that's happening. And then of course we're taking your cookies, so we're tracking you. And that gets me back to the no vacancy signs. We used to click on a sign that says, "Don't come into my building. Keep driving past it." How we've changed from a transactional to a people businesses to gather that person's information for potential future marketing or future stays, which we never would have done before. And then I'll end my comments with like Placer AI and software systems like that that are tracking your cell phones. Whether you turn off tracking or not makes no difference whatsoever. And if you use your credit cards on Apple Pay, now I'm not only tracking you, but I'm tracking your spend. I know now better where to place billboards between Pittsburgh and Ocean City based on how many people that's where they live, but this is where they're coming, and this is the route they're taking. And so now you don't just take a billboard on Route 81 where you think that's obviously where they're coming from. You actually know that now. So everything has changed, and it's all based on technology. So when we talk about AI and the changes that AI is going to bring, we think in hospitality, because AI can't clean a room or serve a meal, that we're kind of protected from this. But look at how things are different from just 15 years ago to where they are now. It does get a little scary, but also a little exciting at the same time.
And you have to be a part of it, you know.
Yeah.
If you're not at the table, right?
Or on your no vacancy sign.
Well, and it's interesting talking about those platforms with Placer AI. I know we, as well as the town of Ocean City, uses a platform called Sardico. You've got, AirDNA looking at your short-term rentals. So there is that intel now that I know Susan and we would sit in tourism commission, 15 years ago, like, how do we get this information? Because it's proprietary information. Well, now it's out there. So we have origin markets. We know if what we're doing from a destination marketing standpoint is working, and if it's not, we can shift and move. So it can be more uber laser focused, I think. So, but no, that's really interesting. So. Meg, another evolution in the restaurant world is the changing diner demands and online ordering, speaking of technology. And of course the takeout bros and that whole, how that really changed, as a result of COVID, and how the businesses have really adapted to that. So can you walk us through that transformation and what you've seen?
Sure. I mean, I think they have to adapt to it. As people are moving out of cities and they're using all of these DoorDash and things like that to get their restaurant orders for lunch, that we're seeing a great growth in online ordering. But to Ben's point, I would say also we're using AI to drive more business to our independent owners as well. So with apps like OpenTable or Resi, you're going to be able to see if they they don't have a reservation, if a restaurant doesn't have a reservation that you won, you're going to see the other options. You're going to see the options around you. You're going to see the options for that restaurant for a different day. And then that restaurant may even have the ability to then text you if there's an opening. That's really changed from the pen and paper and, well, let's say pencil and eraser way that I did for 10 years at the Blue Moon. You know, and also it allows us to keep track of our customers and keep track of their likes and their needs. You know, when you're talking about your relationships with your guests and Marriott, it's the same way with all of these restaurants. And in order to compete, these independent small restaurant owners really need to continue to develop these relationships. And the way that they can do it successfully is with tech.
100%. And something I know that we've seen, and I'm sure it's evident throughout the country and the world, is that the restaurants have really kind of focused in on times. You know, like the restaurant that might have been opened, you know, till 2 a.m. My son works at Harborside. You know, they're done at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You know, so they're able to really focus and get more lean, and that really helps the customer because it's helping them with their bottom line.
Right, when we're looking at Toast or any of these, the reports that you can get these days, you don't have to have a spreadsheet and manage it and a manager who knows about that. You know, you can actually look at the report. It can tell you what is valuable, what's making you money, and what isn't. You're not just thinking about it anymore. You're not just using inventory to make those decisions. You're using real data.
And I think, as we know, with the cost of everything, you know, food astronomically going up. So, but with the small independents, I think people are more loyal. Just in general, the whole, you know, farm to table that we talk about, and being able to support your local community. I think that I've seen that even more transition in the past few years. So, very good. So I think we were talking about AI, but let's dig into that a little bit more. So wrapping this kind of up with some open discussion about AI and hospitality. Managing hospitality businesses is a balancing act of daily operations, guest satisfaction, and revenue growth. Further complicated by a fast-paced digital marketing landscape. With countless strategies and channels to master, keeping up becomes a daunting challenge for even the savviest digital marketers. So can each of you, from your perspective, we'll say Roy with the hotels, Meg with restaurants, and Ben gives the good, bad, and the ugly. So if we could kind of give your perspective on where we're headed with AI.
Ben, do you want to start?
You want to start, yeah?
Yeah, I apologize. There's a last-minute scheduled call with the American Hotel and Lodging Association today at noon that I'm on the board of, and I need to be on that call. I would say that AI is going to go well beyond automated vacuum cleaners and things like that I know we're all looking forward to. I think ease of ordering, knowing what you want, putting ads in front of you. I mean, it's already happened. If you have any of these restaurants apps, you're constantly getting at that time of day where either that they're measuring what time you ordered or what time you were on their website before. They're plugging that time to get in front of you, thinking that that's when you're personally thinking about food. And the more information that you put out there about yourself, which you can't help anymore if you're using smartphone technology in any social media platform, I think that I anticipate running the risk of significant frustration for those of us who want to buy on our own schedule and have our own favorites and belong to our preferred benefit rewards programs, as those of us try to outcompete with the other to get the attention of our mutual customer. I think that's what kind of worries me the most.
Yeah.
And the expense to do it.
And I mean, it is, and it's if you're not there with your competition, then you're just gonna fall back.
I tell you, I should only be a few minutes. If anybody has any questions or anything like that, I'm going to take a call right
And then
outside there.
call
It should probably be like 5 or 10 minutes, okay?
And we're thrilled to have this kind of leadership in our backyard with your
Oh,
headquarters here, and the fact that you're on with AHLA,
Well,
that's
yeah,
fantastic. So
Absolutely.
very good. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. So Meg, let's talk about AI in restaurants. I know we talked a little bit about like the DoorDash stuff and everything, but I guess with like point of sale or with, you know, I swear I was at the Denny's in Easton and there was a robot waiting on us. It was delivering the food. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's unreal. So even to that kind of level, you know, what are you seeing in the future?
Right, I mean, and AI solutions are workforce solutions in a lot of ways. So we at the Delaware Restaurant Foundation are all about workforce and figuring out opportunities and how to get people as skilled, credentialed laborers in our workforce. I think AI has a lot of opportunities for us, from predictive ordering to predictive inventories, anything like that that can really help us. I don't necessarily see it being robots or reverse. I still think it goes back to what we said. We're an industry of people. We're an industry of relationships, right? Those relationships are really important. And the AI is only as good as the people in front of it and the people managing it. So what we're really focusing on is how to give our managers better skills to lead, because it goes back to culture and all these things we're hearing about. We want to keep our employees employed, and we want to keep them learning and growing in our restaurants. So how do we get them to how do we get these managers' skills to lead better? Some of that is with AI, some of that is communication, and a lot of it is financial too. But the AI can be used to help you make better financial decisions for your businesses.
And then that leaves more to invest in your people, so there's only so much that,
And your community.
And your community, yeah, 100%. So, and I'm guessing that might have been like a beta test that probably failed, because again, I did not like it one bit.
We've seen a few restaurateurs with the robots, and they always go back to the in-person servers.
And even, some where you're, paying
Or
yourself.
ordering online,
yeah.
and then
Yeah. And then when you were talking about intelligence, I'm sure you guys all heard about, and now granted this is different, it's fast food, but they were based on the demand, was it Wendy's, or somebody was charging more for the product?
Yeah, they were trying to.
I just think that's insane. And again, when
They
you're,
got so much negative,
Yeah.
within 24 hours, they scrapped the whole
Yeah.
thing.
and the
Because they were
competitors
gonna
are
do
then
demand
capitalizing on
They
it.
were gonna do demand pricing, and they, yeah.
Dynamic pricing.
Oh.
And I think that goes to show that you can take it too far.
Yeah.
You really have to have, in this industry, you have to have that sweet
Because
spot.
they didn't talk about lowering the pricing, all they said was raise the price.
Yeah, yeah.
So they never said they were gonna lower the price, they said they're just gonna charge a lot more when demand is high.
Not every idea is a good idea.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about with the hotel?
Yeah, and just to wrap up there, Melanie, if you looked at Marriott's career site, I bet you 2 out of every 10 positions are data scientists. So we are obviously investing in that. If you want another career or have a child that wants to study something, maybe go in analytics, because that's where we're going. But you hit on something though. We are, as I said, a relational industry. Airlines, when they have the kiosks, everyone used those and passed checking in, right, if you could. And I was on teams that put the kiosks to check in at the front desk. Everyone avoided it. They wanted to check in with a human being because they're sleeping with us, right? They want to make sure, ask a question. And it was like, we can't get anyone to use it. Now, we are seeing some usage on mobile, et cetera, but we still have those touch points where maybe technology, et cetera, isn't exactly going to work in this setting as it does in other places. But as Ben was saying, at the end of the day, AI and robotics is there to make certain jobs easier for people. And in our case, from a consumer standpoint, if I can get to that decision quicker because you know me more, hey, I want this room, from past history, I need an adjoining room, boom, here's the rate, let's go. And we can market that way, we can make it work. And on the flip side, on the operating side, our GMs and leaders of any of our business in this space, they're at their desk more than they want to be because of all the reports and critiques and things they got to go through. And they're not where they really make a difference in our business with our guests and our associates, right? So if AI can help them with some of that, get out, we can make some secure, safe decisions for you. And obviously you're great at what you do because of your ability to communicate and lead other people, then I think that's going to be great for our industry. But we certainly have a ways to go.
Absolutely. So, and off script a little bit, but I know workforce, again, has been the theme for everything I've been to in the past couple of years. And, especially in Maryland with our focus now on apprenticeships, we were briefly talking about industry recognized credentials in the hospitality industry. And so I think that the more we can focus on that and get people in those careers, and really encourage them that it's not just the front desk job. You can start there, it can go anywhere. So did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we were part of a pilot program that did apprenticeship in culinary and hospitality. So it's a nationally recognized U.S. Department of Labor journey person certificate that you receive when you complete these credentials. What's really great about it is that it is on-the-job learning and then independent learning as well. So you are getting paid to learn to be a line cook or a kitchen manager or a restaurant manager. And then while you're doing that, you're also learning on the side, on your own, on your computer. What we're seeing is this is accessible to anyone from a high school student. I just had a high school senior graduate with his Journey Person certificate before he even graduates from high school. He will go on to Del Tech and do their culinary program. But we're also seeing reentry population using our apprenticeship program. So in Delaware, we have the first participant in what is called our HOPES program, Hospitality Opportunities for People Reentering Society, who then became a line cook apprentice, right? So she got the training while she was incarcerated. Upon reentry, she got further training from the food bank and wraparound services that we at the Delaware Restaurant Association helped get her. And then we helped get her into a job where she could then become an apprentice. And as we're seeing an aging population of workers too, we really have to start thinking about ways to give skills to retired people. Apprenticeship is a great option for that too. You know, you're talking about a 6 month to a year commitment that where you're on the job and getting paid. So it's not a $60,000 a year culinary school. It's a little bit of a different model, and I think it's accessible to people of all ages and all generations. You know, and wherever you are in life, we can meet you there.
And that's the beautiful thing. And, you know, taking somebody who might be older, all those transferable skills they may have learned during their career, then they can bring it back. So, but that's super exciting. So thank you so much. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Thanks, Susan, for having me tonight. And I know we're going to want to get together with you because I will say, especially with those reentry programs, you know, the more you invest in somebody, the more, you know, loyal and committed they are. So they're probably the best employees. But did you guys have any questions for anybody, or?
We're good?
We're good?
Stick around for a
Stick
minute.
around. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.